After I clocked more hours than I'm willing to admit during the past few days, I feel comfortable to share with you an early review about a game I'm slightly addicted to. I'm talking about Sword of Convallaria. Sword of Convallaria is a new tactical RPG, or SRPG, from XD Inc., the makers of Torchlight Infinite. Sword of Convallaria features a rich story with beautiful pixel art that scratches the nostalgic urge of people my age. The gameplay loop, as you would expect from a tactical RPG, focuses on grid-based and turn-based combat. The turn order is defined by the agility stat of the unit, so the order remains the same during combat unless you use special skills to make a unit act again right away. The game comes with, I like to say, two major game components. Elysium, which is the gacha game if you will. Here you can pull new units and progress through the individual stages with a stamina system, as you well know from other gacha games. And then there is Spiral of Destinies, which can be seen as a standard single player experience you would expect from a tactical RPG. The lore goes more in depth, and there is a little to no gacha elements throughout the gameplay. And while this holds true, there are some disclaimers I want to point out. But before deep diving into the individual game components, let me first share with you the general gameplay you can expect from Sword of Convallaria, which applies for any of the game modes you choose to play. And, by the way, I would strongly recommend you play both. Don't let the word gacha discourage you. There's plenty of great content to discover. One of the most thrilling parts of any tactical RPG are the units. Discovering new characters, learning their skills, and spending hours to come up with a good team composition is half the fun. And that's no different in Sword of Convallaria. There are currently a total of 67 collectible units, belonging to 9 different factions. The factions do play a role in the story and can also be used for strategic team composition. There are 5 different unit types in Sword of Convallaria: Defenders, Seekers, Breakers, Watchers and Destroyers. Those are your typical tanks, damage dealers and support classes. The units follow a typical rock, paper, scissors mechanics, so you usually have a counter for each of the roles, except for the destroyer role, which doesn't counter any other role. The counter increases the damage dealt and decreases the damage taken to and from the countered role. Everything I'm telling you right now is still part of the general Sword of Convallaria game package. You will see these game elements in any of the game modes. Your units do not only win the battles through the counter mechanism, they also heavily rely on the skills you unlock for them. Through character progression, you will get access to more skills for each unit. The way a character progresses changes depending on the game mode, but regardless of that, unlocking skills is always tied to character progression, and you won't be able to use a certain skill until you meet the requirements and/or have the needed resources to unlock it. Another tool to get strategical advantage are tactical skills. Tactical skills are very powerful spells you can use during combat. You can use them as soon as you gathered enough tactical points. Those are gathered automatically during the combat. A tactical skill will not skip any of your unit's turn. Instead, you activate it whenever you have enough tactical points and then you continue with the current turn. One fantastic and extremely strong tactical skill lets one of your units act twice, which can come in clutch in many battles. Last but not least, and while not a game element itself, I need to highlight the soundtrack of Sword of Convallaria. The composer is Hitoshi Sakimoto, also known for his works for Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy XII. You can clearly feel that the soundtrack was done by craftsmanship master, and the feeling of nostalgia and appreciation will guide you throughout the game. And here we are, probably the game mode that will keep most of us playing the game, the world of Elysium. or in other words, the Gacha mode. The story is told through the Fool's Journey, a typical mobile game story progression mode. Each stage costs stamina, which is limited but regenerates over time. Surprisingly, in my 25 plus hours of gameplay, I never faced stamina issues. The game incentivizes you to continue playing with stamina pots, rewards stamina through daily quests, and allows stamina replenishment with in-game currency. When stamina runs out, players can turn to the Spiral of Destinies. More on that later. Progression through the Fool's Journey unlocks additional game modes. You can access the Spiral of Destinies, the single-player campaign, and Crossing Worlds, which offers resource farming through challenges. Notably, you can farm various resources, weapons, and even duplicate units to enhance existing characters. PvP is currently available against AI, but will feature real-time PvP in the future, a highly anticipated update. Social aspects include friends and guilds with planned expansions for increased functionality, especially for guilds. Finally, we reach the Spiral of Destinies. It has definitely been the talk in town for many who are interested in Sword of Convallaria. The Spiral of Destinies is your single player campaign. There's no gacha here, nor is there any in-game shop. Every unit you get in this mode has to be earned by playing the game. There's a small feature that you can use, but you're not forced to. You can take up to 3 units from Elysium, the gacha mode, when starting the Spiral of Destinies mode. But they also start at the lowest level and you need to progress through the story to boost them. Starting the Spiral of Destinies costs you keys, which can be acquired by doing your dailies in Elysium. You really don't need to spend any money. I have 13 keys left, each key lets you play through one story arc, which is decent in terms of length. During your playthroughs, you are introduced to the calendar system. Through that system, you will progress through the story, and there's always a limited amount of actions you can take per week. So thinking about which units to use for which activity throughout the weeks will become more and more important. The Spiral of Destinies introduces gameplay mechanics that you don't see in Elysium, such as units training, which is how you progress your units in this game mode, or the tavern, where you get access to better units the more you upgrade your tavern. It's a great change of pace, and if you would just like to sit back, relax and enjoy the story, this mode has you covered. One neat feature is that the outcome of the Spiral of Destinies can vary depending on your decisions, so there's much potential for replayability. The devs already confirmed to expand the stories of the Spiral of Destinies, which clearly shows that the devs want to continue offering a single player experience which can be enjoyed completely free of the gacha mode. So, what's my verdict after 25 hours and counting of playing Sword of Convallaria? For me, it's definitely scratching that nostalgia itch, and I just have a weak point for pixel art, especially when it's presented so beautifully like here. I also like that you have a disconnected game mode with the Spiral of Destinies, which I ended up enjoying way more than expected. I can only recommend anyone to just play everything the game has to offer and don't limit yourself just because this is a gacha game. Sword of Convallaria lets you comfortably play the game for free. You get access to many free pulls and guaranteed legendary heroes, which will be more than enough to progress through the game. There are many hours of enjoyment, and with the already confirmed features that are in development, I can see Sword of Convallaria growing even further. There are definitely things that can be improved. I would like to see cleaner icons that are not necessarily just imported from the mobile version. Further, I could see better backgrounds in the stages itself when you are in the middle of the combat, because it takes a little bit away of the immersion. I will make a different, more in-depth video about the things I believe Sword of Convallaria can improve on. But all in all, I'm very satisfied with the game, and I can confidently say that I recommend this game to anyone who loves nostalgic pixel art games and loves a good tactical RPG. Thank you all for watching. If you made it so far, please consider giving me a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Sword of Convallaria content, and leave me a comment. Catch you in the next one.